I didn't get the memo that the dress code included the ears. I think it would have been great if we all wear them. But yeah, I'm very excited to be here today, and I'd like to invite our panel participants, Eglė Markevičiūtė, Vice Minister at the Ministry of Economy and Innovation. Deimantė Zutelienė, Advisor to the Minister at the Ministry of Culture. And Tautvydas Pipiras, Project Manager at the Lithuanian Innovation Center. So while the panel participants are taking place and getting comfortable in these really comfy chairs, I'd like to very briefly give an intro in terms of Invest Lithuania and why we're interested in this topic. So as I mentioned, I'm heading the technology sector team, and we work with companies across various tech sectors, including fintech, software engineering, cybersecurity, and games industry. And actually, our aim is to engage with international companies, attract them to set up their operations in Lithuania and help them scale both here locally and grow internationally. So this is really a very interesting topic to us, how we as various government institutions can support the sector. Because really the games industry, I think you all know, is a very interesting beast. It's a mixture, and it's a fusion of technology, the creativity and innovation. So from the government's perspective, I think the challenge is that there is no one stakeholder, one organization that could say, okay, well, we are, the ones who would be looking after the sector's development. Hence, we have this wonderful panel with a selection of representatives from various organizations. And I think it's probably a testament to Lithuania's willingness to actually look at the sector and help it continue and evolve. So without further ado, I'd like to invite all the participants to briefly introduce their organizations and how they see the touch points with the game sector. So starting with Deimantė.
Is it working? It is. Nice being here, and actually, as Gintarė mentioned, it is a really horizontal question, and many questions arises between the institutions. So I'm representing today Ministry of Culture. Ministry of Culture is mainly responsible for policy making for culture and creative industries. Maybe I would later call it just CCI because it's just international definition of it. And as well as development and growth of the sector and the scope of the export. And I'm advisor to Minister of Culture and having the background in business and as well in culture sectors. And my main priorities of the job at the moment is art tech ecosystem development in Lithuania. And if we would ask what is art tech, so it's culture and creative industries with the synergy of the latest technologies, that is NFTs, augmented or virtual reality, or artificial intelligence. And as well at the moment we're as well working on CCI's acceleration program development. So nice being here.
Thank you. Eglė?
Is that one working? Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Eglė. My name in Lithuanian, for those of you who are non-Lithuanian speaking, means fir tree. That's easier to remember. I am from the Ministry of Economy and Innovation. I'm responsible for innovation and digital. What are the main touch points? I'll start with the simple notions. Numbers speak louder than words. Game tech in Lithuania, the total revenue is 220 million, around that. In terms of general GDP, it is a significant area of our ICT sector with a huge potential to grow. Our role as the government and the ministry to provide support in double T, taxes and talent, and the third P, programming and planning. So I think we will get deeper into these areas further. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to discuss further how the planning part especially can be improved. I'm a former lobbyist, so I put a lot of emphasis on smooth public affairs process, and I really hope that together with the ministry, with Invest Lithuania, with Innovation Agency, with Ministry of Culture, Innovation Center, and other actors, will be able not only to react, but also proactively plan for the future, as this is very important, and sometimes you have to follow the rules of the game. Bureaucracy has certain rules, and we have to exploit them and employ them to reach our goals.
Excellent, thank you. Tautvydas.
So, hello everyone, I'm Tautvydas representing Lithuanian Innovation Center, which is a small but one of the most productive public support for business organization. And as an organization, we try to consolidate the interests of politics, science, and business in order to foster the economic growth of Lithuania, as well as the growth of Lithuanian companies, that they would spread into international markets and would implement or develop innovative solutions. And as an organization, we provide lots of business services for business entities, from financial advising to the internationalization services that they would go to these kind of fairs in all of the Europe or Western world. And regarding the game sector, so we spot this industry probably 5 years ago, which looked at that time that having a huge potential to growth. But in Lithuania, we were still stagnating at that time, but it's great to see that from that point we really make huge steps ahead, and we see that many things will come in the future, and just as all stakeholders here sitting here together, we can really foster the whole industry and every player, either small or big, that they would be flag holders of Lithuania in the world, I would say.
Yeah, well, excellent. That's really wonderful to hear. And I think now that we sort of got to know who is sitting around the two tables, we can, dive a little bit deeper. And, you already touched upon, why the games industry is important from your organization's perspective. But really, I want to sort of dive a little bit deeper, and starting with Eglė, and really from the economic, from the innovation perspective, what impact do you see that the games industry is creating in Lithuania?
I think I've already covered the economic or monetary part of it. Numbers speak louder than words. Game industry, game tech is an important part of our ICT sector, but there are non-monetary effects that I'd like to emphasize on as well. First of all, the culture that game tech sector brings to Lithuania in terms of cross-sectoral impact, cross-sectoral innovations that other areas employ. Game tech is the pioneer, game tech sector is the pioneer in a lot of senses, and the products and the approaches developed in this community transfers to other areas of economy, hopefully public sector as well. And at the same time, the community and the ecosystem is very progressive. We are happy to see so many people from across the region and across the world in Lithuania. We hope that Vilnius as a median stop, or the last stop, or the primary stop for you is a good home. But as I said, the community and the ecosystem itself is very progressive. Gender diversity percentages are good as well. 28%, I think, or 29% of total employees are women. Yes, we cannot deny the fact that this progressive community also changes the overall picture of our ICT community, not only in terms of innovation, in terms of approaches, in terms of international sort of aspect of it, but also in terms of monetary aspect. You raise the salaries of people, you raise the sort of threshold for the other ICT sector actors. So these are very important aspects of it. Of course, as a representative of Ministry of Economy and Innovation, I see the potential and the effect, the revenues, the taxes, and everything else is important, but non-monetary effects are just as important.
I'll just sort of follow on this question. Why do you think Lithuania is attractive or should be interesting to both international games development companies and international talent that wants to work in the sector?
I think we have to look at the past and the present sort of at the same time. We have a huge success or big success stories that happened in the recent past, and this is of course an effect that attracts other actors as well. You want to be part of the community and collaborate and go forward together. Our tax system, I mean, it depends who we compare ourselves to, but I think it also has a lot of potential. There are cultural aspects of it that are undeniable, especially for people from Belarus and countries that know certain languages or the culture. I think we've all heard our Belarusian sabri, or what's the word, talking about the similarities of Vilnius and Minsk and other areas, and you know, for them it's like second home, and we certainly hope that it proves the expectation. So Lithuania has a variety of incentives for game tech. As I said before, there are taxes, there are talent, there are programming, and also there are other areas that are not influenced by the government, but which are an attractive or the magnet for this community. So I certainly hope that this trend continues. As government, we have to focus on the problems that the community communicates to us. We certainly hope that game tech community and game tech association, for example, compared to very traditional old school associations, your primary focus is business and developing your products. You probably don't really want to spend a lot of time on public affairs and influencing the processes in the government. So this is a mutual task of us and you to find a model how to ensure that this innovative, progressive community is heard in the government, not only by Invest Lithuania, Innovation Agency, Ministry of Economy and Innovation, but other ministries as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's sort of from my perspective, I think Lithuania has this, you know, already thriving games industry in Lithuania. We have a lot of talent. We have amazing games that are being built, but it's definitely, there's a lot of room to grow, and we definitely want to see more game developers, more companies, and more successful games developed here. So this is probably the main theme from the government, that we definitely want to see the sector grow. And now perhaps moving on to Deimantė from creative industries perspective, and I think perhaps it would be interesting for the audience also to know what are the strengths in Lithuania when we talk in general about the creative industries, and also then, you know, sort of zooming in how you see the games industry contributing to the whole creative ecosystem here.
So just to continue also the Egle's thoughts, and it was also interesting that Eglė marked that it's gaming as ICT, as a part of ICT sector, and I would say that it's a part of culture and creative industries. And I will just explain afterwards more and go deeper what we think about what is culture and creative industries. And it's actually, it's a new definition, and not only for Lithuania, but as well in the European context. But it was really important to specify the sector where the creativity, where the demand of high qualifications of the talents are really in the heart of the sector. And we name it, there is two sectors inside of CCI. Those are architects, visual arts, gaming, filming, or media, designers, etc. And we see that CCI accounts like almost 2% of GDP of Lithuania. It's out into 2021, but with the goal to grow the sector in total to 3% of total GDP. And what is really specific about this sector that is really more than other industries, it counterparts to social responsible economy. And what we mean by that it tends to create more jobs for young people. It usually tends to offer more flexible working conditions, and it really makes also social impact, not only economical impact on the whole society. And if to maybe to name the sectors inside of CCI that are really important, or not only important, but also makes a huge progress in this sector, those would be, of course, gaming and filming. Gaming, we see that it's a remarkable growth in 5 years, like it made a growth of 4 times, as I remember. And talking about the filming, we also should mark its international recognition, and we see many awards for our young creators, and not only young creators. We can name it Piligrimai by Laurynas Bareiša, or Mariupolis 2 by Mantas Kvedaravičius, or Vesper by Kristina Božytė. And why I'm naming all these industries, gaming and filming, because if to look at the nearest experience, for example, at our neighbors in Poland, they really see these sectors as very interrelated, and they need almost the same ecosystem, or with some differences. I mean, scenario writers, illustrators, graphic designers, music composers, or even actors. Those are the talents needed for both sectors. So I would encourage to see this audiovisual sector as unique in its part, but also having the similarities as well. So it could make also a huge impact, and have the possibilities to speak of both of the sectors also in the government.
Thank you. So, both Eglė and Deimantė, you've mentioned that, the ministries have noticed the growth of the sector and the development of the sector. And I think this is time to turn to Tautvydas as well, because Lithuanian Innovation Center, back in 2020, published the first report on the games industry in Lithuania, which was really probably monumental thing for the industry to capture the state of the industry at that time. Of course, we are 2.5 years now from that time, and the Innovation Center has been very active participant in the industry's development, and you know the pulse of the industry very well. Could you comment in terms of, from your perspective, how do you see the industry has developed in Lithuania and what has changed?
Yeah, so the whole initiative that we started to make, it was only our idea. It was the dialogues among Lithuanian Game Developers Association as well as Ministry of Economy, as at that time the Vice Minister was Elijus Čivilis, current Director of Invest Lithuania. He also made that idea, so that in order to start from somewhere, we should know where we at and know the numbers. So the main problem at that time was the numbers, to see the state of the art. And from that point, we identified several areas on which we should focus in order to reach that main goal that we have with our game developers ecosystem, is to be the hot spot for the Eastern Europe of game industry, where the Eastern talents meet Northern or Western experts, where would be a great place to stay and develop your ideas. And we saw that the infrastructure in terms of financing, in terms of funding is needed. The science is also wasn't in line with the pace of the whole game development ecosystem, as we are still stagnating at this field, as we don't have enough of talents developed by our universities or R&D made by the universities. Also, we saw that as Eglė mentioned, that cross-sectoral cooperation wasn't enough at that stage, as game developers didn't want to be engaged with traditional companies because there was difference in cultures, working culture. Also, the game developers are very passionate about what they're doing, so they don't want to move on from their culture and that creative work into some traditional businesses. So we spot these kind of things, and we wanted to strategize how to move on from that. And we really see the first things coming. We don't have yet the public funding, public fund, I would call, for the game sector, but what from that developed the private funding, which was also thought as should be a collaboration between private and public funding. Right now we only have private fund for game development, which is very unique for our region. And maybe in a couple of years it will merge with some kind of public initiative, and that fund would become even bigger. Also, we see a huge cooperation right now between the Lithuanian Game Developers Association and other Baltic states associations. They're cooperating, they're seeing what they can do together, because we are small, free countries, so we cannot compete with each other. Probably it's better to collaborate on talent attraction and so forth. So these things are really going on, and also big shout out to Game Developers Association, who are not big, and they are very reactive as they are working as an enthusiast from the private sector and want to do this kind of building community things like organizing events, also game jams, also involved in these events, promoting the companies. This is a really huge job that they're making, but we would like to see that Game Developer Association would be not only in Lithuania as the representatives, but maybe in the main spots in Europe. And for this, they need also additional funding to go to the events, to go to the meetings with the potential investors, because I think they're the best who can represent us as a country and the game development ecosystem.
So I will try to sort of also maybe summarize in terms of what I hear is that, of course, it's the early stage support, so investment for indie developers, for young studios to work on their games. That's being addressed with the game dev fund at the moment. Of course, we hope that could grow. The support for the local companies to become more internationally visible, that could be one of the areas. And I don't know, we haven't touched upon talent development initiatives, but that definitely comes across, and perhaps we can also circle back on that theme as well. And I think it's something that really strikes me, this collaborative effort and the vibrance of the community, the meetups, the events, the awards. That's definitely the strength of the sector. But I think, you know, we sort of, when we think about the sector being competitive globally, we definitely need more companies that can grow bigger and really compete on the global scene, as well as more international companies operating here in Lithuania. So just sort of with that, I want to continue on the challenges and opportunities or potential measures theme, and perhaps directing a question to Eglė as well, in terms of what best practices have you observed from other countries, and again, you know, from your perspective, what could be done. And you already alluded more on the tax lobbying and other initiatives, so please.
First of all, I would like to disagree. There's no money. There's money. We have Innovation Promotion Fund in Invega with, I think, 46 million euros that is also available for game tech. The Innovation Agency is currently working on Game Tech Accelerator. I think it is up to 5 million. Among other measures, consultancies, and so on and so forth, there are also subsidies for small startups up to 45,000 euros. I think Invest Lithuania is also involved in this process, which we really appreciate. And yes, and there are other structural funds, innovation funds that is also, it's not specifically for game tech, but it's also available for game tech. So I have a few notes here about the most important parts. So let's start with the talent pool. The Ministry of Economy and Innovation has been working really hard over the past few years in order to ensure that the foreign talents and national talents are either opened the gates for or developed on a national level. So last year, with our initiative, the Parliament adopted amendments to the employment law, which provides financial incentives for both individuals and companies that are willing to relocate to Lithuania. When it comes to other consultancy work, International House, Vilnius and International House, Klaipėda is also led by our ministry. The migration department, the beloved migration department, this is also a huge part of our work, our unseen shadow work that is being done by our colleagues at the Ministry of Economy and Innovation. And of course, when it's for foreign nationals, but when it comes to our local community and competence development and requalification and the upping of digital skills, we also recognize the work that the Ministry of Culture has been doing. On our behalf, we are the owners of Digital Agenda, and we are currently working on a number of strategies and plans that will be used in the next financial planning period. When it comes to taxes, the TTP, the TTP that I mentioned, this is also an important part. At the moment, actually, the government today will be evaluating the proposal by our ministry, which addresses the health insurance issue for spouses and the registered partners of foreign nationals that live here. So hopefully that goes well, and the spouses and the registered partners who are non-EU citizens and arrived here to either join Lithuanians or foreign nationals that are residents will be included in our health insurance system. Another big topic, I don't know, among Lithuanians, this is very widely discussed, the tax reform that is currently in the government and going to the parliament. One of the proposals by our ministry was tax incentive of 8% corporate income tax for foreign talent working in high value added sectors. We are modest when it comes to the success of this proposal. However, as a representative of the Ministry of Economy and Innovation, as a classical liberal, I would really invite the community to look into opportunities of talking with parliamentarians who will later discuss this tax reform. Yes, and I already told everything about game tech, and the last part is the planning or the programming. And here we also would like to see the community getting more involved in our ICT sector's roadmaps planning in the Innovation Agency, and also other measures. I know that my words probably sound very bureaucratic to you about planning, but this is the rules of the game of bureaucracy that we have to follow in order to see positive results in the future. So, regarding taxes, we've done or attempted to do a lot. There's so many things to do in the future in order to make sure that the foreign nationals see Lithuania as a positive platform or the country to base their activities at. When it comes to talent, foreign talent is one topic, the local talent is another, Ministry of Culture, Ministry of Education, everyone is involved in this process. Game Tech Accelerator, that's up and coming. But yeah, Innovation Agency has over 800 million euros budget with different initiatives for different areas of our smart specialization, biotech, ICT, engineering. And when it comes to ICT, you have to make sure you ask them and ask for advice where to find the money. They can share the information. And if they don't, you can forward the email to us.
Excellent. Yeah, so the message is that the money is there. Probably it's the challenge of finding how to navigate the system. But I know that innovation agents, they have a wonderful guide in Lithuanian, though, where you can actually step by step defining your project or requirements. You can identify what kind of support measures would be applicable for your activities. So definitely there are organizations and innovation agencies, the primary one, to help navigate those support measures.
And it's also Invest Lithuania, which is responsible for the aftercare of attracted foreign direct investment. So you can also share that.
Yes, so from Invest Lithuania perspective, our focus is on engaging with international companies, as I mentioned, and we have also a couple of support measures supporting international companies to set up operations and create jobs in Lithuania. So we also have financial support for that, and also very happy to consult if there are any international companies that would be considering Lithuania for their operations. And yeah, I think it's definitely something, just to recap in terms of the talent development, that definitely from the Lithuania's government perspective, we understand that we need to grow the local talents, this organic growth, and upskill and reskill people that are already in the labor force, to direct them to more high value added jobs and also more creative jobs and tech jobs. But also we have very strong willingness to grow our talent pool by welcoming international specialists and making a really diverse ecosystem that's contributing to the economy from various angles. And so Deimantė, from Ministry of Culture perspective, and Eglė, laid out quite a few measures and support mechanisms. Could you also share from your perspective in terms of the support for the creative sector and what game companies could tap into potentially?
I would share some previously support measures, that it was the funding from React-EU, and it was dedicated for culture and creative industries, infrastructure development, and as well as service and product developments. And we have, or will have, the result of more than 100 projects that will be implemented by 2023. And we took these good examples and brought to the new EU period finance perspective. And we're also planning and developing at the moment two directions of EU funding for CCI, that is also infrastructure development for CCIs, and as well the acceleration program. And we have one smaller program that is for young designers, but maybe it's not so important for game developers, but you never know. As well, we can share that what our Culture Council, what kind of program they have. And the game developments could apply for scholarships, and we are planning, starting 2025, to have the group scholarships, that it would be for 5 people for one project for 1 year. So it can also be a support for young people, for young creators. And of course, culture education, it can be gamified, or it can be offered to be gamified. So I think it also can be an interesting part for game developers. But I would encourage to see not only Lithuanian funding, but actually I haven't mentioned the money. So 30 million of EU financing that is going to be planned and going to be implemented in 2001-2027 period. And as well, I encourage to see the whole ecosystem, actually, because we are in the ecosystem of European funding, and Creative Europe also has the program that are dedicated for game developers. And not to see only the money, but to see also the infrastructure. We have the developed infrastructure of art incubators all over Lithuania, and I know that they're really welcoming and waiting for young creators, young talents to use this infrastructure. and to see also the future opportunities, because Vilnius mayor, he said that he is going to develop soundstage studio in Vilnius, and it's definitely couldn't be used only for filming, it's definitely should be used also for gaming. So, and it's also, I know that the working name is Audiovisual Center, so I think that game developing companies should also see that kind of opportunities. And this initiative was raised by Baltic Film and Creative Tech Cluster. I'm sure that game producers are also a part of this cluster. So I think the whole overview in short.
Excellent. Yes, I think with this studio in plans, that's really exciting news. Of course, it's still plan, but I think that would definitely benefit, you know, the whole creative, both filming and games development. And so thank you, Deimantė and Eglė. You know, it was quite a wide overview. I think it can be overwhelming when you start to navigate, but it's definitely possible. And maybe from Tautvydas' perspective as well, do you see there's anything else that could be done to address the challenges in the industry? Something that we haven't touched upon?
Yeah, so all things that were mentioned were really, really needed, and thanks, Eglė, for mentioning that many support is actually available for the companies, for the game studios, and we as Innovation Center are always trying to convince them that they can come to us and we'll help them to guide through all the not only national funding but also European funds like Horizon and other programs are available for us. They just need good supporters that would explain what could be developed under this program and so forth. And good to hear that also the Game Tech Accelerator is coming because it's really needed, and it's the foreign examples shows that these programs really attract companies into countries, also talents, which are essential thing. And both colleagues mentioned talent attraction as one of the key things. And actually, when I talked with Berliners, where the really brilliant ecosystem for game industry were established, they said that we really focused on the talent, so that they would be comfortable to come here. And we all know the Berlin as a hub for startups, and we already calling Vilnius as a little Berlin, and these culture things already exist here. So in terms of the support, Eglė mentioned also lots of organizations who try to support, and we just need to focus on the markets from where we can really attract those talents. So those could be Eastern European, like Ukraine, Hungary, Romania. There are lots of talents out there where we could be a spot for them to land. Just need to focus our marketing and all the things that they would know about Lithuania and all the great things that we can offer for them. Concerning the other things that we as ecosystem, as Lithuania, can offer for game studios, it's hard to pick one, because when you look at the foreign good practices, there are different models how countries are working. For example, Sweden is one of the leading industries in Lithuania. They are doing everything on a private basis, or just facilitating by governmental funds already existing good private initiatives. That's their model, and it's working really well. While Finland or Denmark is moving to another direction. They are more like a public funded. They have even clusters funded and established by government. Also, Business Finland is supporting especially game industry very, very specifically, and from the public funding, they have ambassadors all over the world who support specifically game industry. So there are those models which are very different. And we as Lithuania probably should look at what resources we already have, what kind of specificalities we have, and what we can build from that. Other thing that we right now should build everything from public money, because we already have really good organizations who are doing their job. It should be private-public collaboration. For example, the Lithuanian Game Association, Game Developers Association, should be put as the main hub, I think, they shouldn't be only in Vilnius. I think they should be in Kaunas, where also we have lots of students. In Klaipėda, where also some of the traction we're seeing that companies are building themselves. So these small steps, by enabling small players in Lithuania, would also encourage the whole ecosystem to grow, and will also attract the sites from outside, from foreign investors. I think so.
Thank you. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I really liked your thoughts, and I would only add one thing. We also have to learn from the mistakes of the past, because as in European Union you have financial cycles, and different governments see different areas to put all the money at, but we have to ensure that this model goes after the financing from the public ends. And I really agree that at the center and at the core of it, we have to have private sector and private associations that would lead the way, because who else but business itself can tell you how it is and how we should move forward. As the recession either is here or approaches us, on YouTube there's a good Hayek versus Keynes rap battle. I don't know how many of you are aware of libertarian economics, Austrian School of Economics. I really recommend you look at that rap battle, and there's a line which says, how can you design economy if you don't really know how it works fully? So as the government and representatives of public sector, we also have to stay humble and leave space for the private sector to innovate, create, and move forward.
Wow, amazing. So yeah, definitely. I think it's probably the right sort of formula that we're arriving. That the government has to be the enabler, and of course especially for earlier stage or for talent attraction, for certain programs that we can drive forward where we see gaps. But definitely the private sector should also take a more and more active role as the companies grow stronger and want to sort of to contribute back to the ecosystem as well. I will just also briefly mention on the talent attraction that Tautvydas, you mentioned that we want to be more seen internationally, and we have a separate program, Work in Lithuania, which is specifically doing that, so trying to go and make Lithuania known for international talents, and also connect international talent with job opportunities in Lithuania, and make this process of discovering Lithuania, the life and career in Lithuania, much smoother for the talent that may not have been familiar with Lithuania before.
Sorry to disrupt the conversation, but I also need to tell you about the measures, the financial measures we have within the innovation agency. Very often we see traditional business association using the opportunities for business missions, exhibitions, and so on and so forth. So it's really important that game tech industry associations participate in this bureaucratic process, so you get the money to be represented internationally as well. And this applies not only for Lithuanian, but all companies that are currently here.
Fantastic. So I think we can open the floor to the questions from the audience. I hope that this discussion has sparked some thoughts and questions, and we would invite the person to come to the microphone on the stand, or to Roman.
Yes, if you just have a question, you can just come to the stand, the microphone, and ask it.
So you have to be brave as well.
Okay, let me ask you first something. Can you tell a little bit about communication between your structures and the game developers? Because you mentioned Game Developer Association, right? So it's some kind of a union that you're directly talking to. Or maybe just a private studio can come or ask some help, money or something else. So how it's usually happens, how you communicate with the game developers themselves?
So, yeah.
Because for us as Innovation Center, the companies are the primary customers. So we have an office in Vilnius, in Kaunas, where you can contact us, come to us, and you don't need to read all the available funding programs on the Innovation Agency, for example, website, or cultural calls. We will brief you on this, what is available, where companies can apply, or maybe look if it's more suitable to go to the European calls. We will advise also on this. Also the funding for business missions or other things, we can also suggest which program could be suitable. So we are working as a consultants. We're always and our services are for free, so we're making public services consultancy for companies. So just come to us. We're always waiting you.
Just make a call.
If I can interrupt really quickly. Also, there's no such thing as free lunch, but that's a joke. Innovation Agency under the Ministry of Economy is also supposed to do consultations in all areas of business support. So there are Lithuanian guides, automated guides, but there's also person-to-person consultations. They have to do that as well. So you're very free to choose the method of communication, either through Innovation Center, Innovation Agency, Ministry of Culture, or separate consultants. But when it comes to governmental level, for example, we have a tax reform. For us, as the ministry, the easiest way to communicate is via associations, because associations employ usually lawyers, lobbyists. They know the bureaucratic rules of the game. So for us, the process is much smoother. The representation, for example, the very important part is committee hearings at the parliament. There, not only associations, but also representatives of separate businesses can come and speak up on the matters that are important for you. But I think in terms of practicality, associations are the easiest way to go about it.
If to add, we as Ministry of Culture working more or less on daily basis with the associations when forming some conditions of the calls or funding programs, what are interesting for the sector, what would be useful, what would ensure the growth. So we're working with the associations and then it moves forward.
Okay, thank you. So, more questions? Come on, don't be shy. Every question is important. You'll be regret if you don't ask it today.
Yeah, hello, my name is Simonas, not current. So maybe I missed it, but it's very interesting for me, the part about education. You know, we have 25,000 graduates from gymnasiums every year. Do you have each ministry, any programs or measures regarding increase in popularity of a gaming development profession among younger citizens, both in primary education, middle and gymnasium level? You know, children are playing games when they are like around from 5 to 12, and it's kind of important age where they could think about not only playing games, but creating games. And very few do it. And very few children grow up and choose this profession. But it can be done maybe more on this. And also about universities. There are some programs, I would call them programs, maybe courses or specializations in Vilnius Tech, in some other universities. But maybe there is some plans or measures how much we could achieve on that in the nearest future.
No, it's the Ministry of Education. That's the bureaucratic answer. But in reality, we as the Ministry of Economy and Innovation also participate in different formats where we try to push both the Ministry of Education and the existing ecosystem towards investing more in IT skilling, if you will, of different age groups of pupils and so on and so forth. We also have practical measures, for example, scholarships for IT students in regional educational institutions. We initiate double degree programs for IT specialists between Lithuanian and UK universities. We have already signed 5 MOUs and Vilnius Vytautas Magnus University and Vilnius Tech programs for IT will start further. An important player in this whole ecosystem is Lithuanian Research Council, because they are the ones who advise the Ministry of Education to invest in different areas, different programs in terms of higher education. So I have a lot of trust in it. They have a new director, new head, Dr. Gintaras from the life science sector, and also very knowledgeable of how business works. So there's a lot of trust in that. But of course, another window of opportunity for us all, sorry to bring in bureaucracy again, is the European Digital Decade program. So European Union has its own ICT sort of outlook or goals for 2030, and every country has to create specific plans for it. And currently the Ministry of Economy is facilitating the process, and digital skills is an important part of it. If we looked at the digital European indexes, digital skills is one of the parts that brings Lithuania down in the whole context. So this is an area that we have to solve. And when it comes to digital skilling, not only in terms of education, but also separate programs, incentives, etc., I'm really fond of the Finnish model. Up until 5 years ago, Finland had the same problem as Lithuania does. There's Ministry of Education that is dealing with pupils and students and researchers. There's Ministry of Economy, which sort of promotes and facilitates something. There's Ministry of Defense that has cybersecurity and cyber education, if you will. There's Ministry of Interior that deals with the upskilling of public service, public sector workers. And what they did is they created a sort of round rotating council between different ministries where they tell what are they doing, and they sort of coordinated the process between themselves. We have to acknowledge that up until now in Lithuania there is a certain gap even in terms of interministerial cooperation in terms of digital skills. And since we have a problem that is identified and very important for us, I really put a lot of trust that we can solve this process, and of course we'll invite gaming associations and different ICT associations to participate in the process and perhaps offer us tangible sort of lively solutions, because you know the governmental sector, the public sector, we can just open a call for something, wait for 6 to 9 months, do some sort of public procurement procedure, then see if it happens. Then we have to, you know, we don't want to go that way.
I can comment on this. Regarding the programs, I can definitely say that on at least European horizon, there are these kind of programs, because we, together with Teltonika, Lithuanian company, we partner at Lithuanian Innovation Center and Teltonika to prepare one of the proposals, which was targeted on this digital education problem, so also focused on the primary school, so that primary school children would be involved in the Teltonika activities, that they would work together on building those digital skills. So it depends on the details, but we can really look together at the programs available. Maybe something will suit to you, but again, it depends on the company, on your goals, on etc. etc. So, but it's always advisable to get an advice from a pharmacist before going for some kind of medicine. So we are the pharmacists, so come to us and talk.
And to add, from Ministry of Culture, we're actually taking care about our creators and our people creativity or society creativity. So our main goal to have the program that education and culture would come together. It means that at least our people should try any creative professions or have the skills in arts or whatever, because we have the researches that show that it makes a huge impact on any results actually in the profession, trying this music or ceramics or photography or any other artistic skills. So, and we have the agreement of the parties, political parties, that it is important in our society and we should foster it.
One important part is also what the private sector is doing. We had the same discussion with engineering industry. How many pupils did you invite on summers to sort of be stagiaires of some sort in the companies? It really has a huge effect on people, and we also have to look into that.
Yeah, internships and academies. Yeah, excellent. So we have time for the last question, please.
I'll ask two if you don't mind. For context, the reasons that I couldn't find an answer to these questions is why we as Signable decided to not relocate anyone to Lithuania. And it's because, and it was, I guess, before you guys' time, in 2014 or so, we came over here and, the government was doing a lot of things, a lot of talking. And the two questions I asked them was, when it comes to investment into creative industries like game development is A, how do you define that you have done a good job? What is a concrete KPI? And two, can you name any concrete examples of how the government has helped studios here?
And sorry, what company are you from?
Tiny Build.
Okay. Yeah, so when it comes to specific KPIs from Invest Lithuania's perspective, we have agreed in our 5-year strategy with the Ministry of Economy in terms of how many international companies do we attract and from what kind of sectors. So within technology sector, we have, as I mentioned, several focus areas. One of them is games industry, and I would say that in the past 2 years, we worked mostly with companies that were relocating from Minsk and other locations, but sort of building their teams here. So we have helped up to 10 companies, from really smaller studios to bigger ones like wargaming, to really set up their operations, move their people, the employees, their families, and help them integrate as well. So it has been a really tremendous task for our organization to involve other organizations, the migration department, International House Vilnius, Vilnius Municipality, and so on. So this is something that we were, very focused in terms of helping in this context. And now we understand that we have this really international, really diverse ecosystem, and we want to continue engaging with more games industry companies to attract them. I would say that the playing field is level for all international companies, and it really, our task is to help them understand the costs of doing business in Lithuania, the talent that's available here, and what kind of benefits, what kind of access to the ecosystem, access to the government, access to the EU they could get through their operations in Lithuania. So it's not an easy task sometimes, especially when you talk to, AAA studios. They have certain requirements for talent, or how many of certain specialists they want to see in the market before they can commit. So it's definitely a long-term journey for us. Yeah.
I'm really interested in the reasons why you choose to not relocate to Lithuania. If I had to be politically correct. I would say previous government bad, this government good, and so on and so forth. But of course, the ex post evaluation of the government's action is a global problem, be it law, amendments to law, legal issues, or specific programs. I think Invest Lithuania is doing a good job, but we have to look at the whole ecosystem.
Sorry to cut you off. May I just give you maybe a little bit more context if we're going there, right? Because when it comes to small country governments, like I'm from Latvia, small country as well. When it comes to small country governments, usually you have a lot of policies in place for a specific short-term agenda. And what we've seen in 2014-ish when we were here is that, okay, everyone was like, yeah, come over here. Oh, no concrete examples, no KPIs, nothing. And then the government next year just decides, oh, we're no longer supporting. So I guess it's a matter of how do you build that trust? Because I understand your point about the short-term goal of relocating people, right? We're in a terrible situation with a war, and we have a lot of people who relocate. But then how do you, I guess my question is more about not the first step, but the later steps. How do you retain talent here? How do you grow the industry? Because it's not a one-year play. Games take 2, 3, 5 years to develop. So that's what we're thinking of, a more long-term horizon. That's the context of my question. Sorry to cut you off.
Well, I hope that this panel has helped to sort of shed some light in terms of the programs and initiatives that the government has actually already enacted, and there are plans to continue. So definitely, I think our time is up, unfortunately, so we will have to wrap up. But I want to probably leave you with the saying that, it takes a village to raise a child, and definitely it takes a concerted government effort to continue to develop the games industry in Lithuania. And I'm really glad that we could, all gather and discuss what's needed, what's being done, what else could be done for the successful development of the sector. So please give a round of applause to our wonderful panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much.